So anyway, so really, you know, what can go wrong with this?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
I think you have the laptop on mute.
I just. Can anyone hear me?
Put your volume up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? It's because
Wait, so see if there's a chat option.
I'm wondering if they can hear me. So hopefully there it is. Yeah. So let's see.
We need a millennial.
Hey, hello everyone. This is Suren here.
All right, so you guys, we won't be able to hear you because we are hooked up to an HDMI cable, so it's making the sound. I don't know.
Can you right click on the speaker on the bottom right?
Okay.
Right click. So yeah, it's going to Sony, but you can select your output. If you click.
Yeah. The computer guy, he knows something.
But at a minimum, you guys just text just chat your stuff.
You can type sound at the bottom there.
I prefer the chat, to be honest.
Yeah, so we don't have people interrupting. So yeah, just you guys just send your chats, and if you have questions as we're going through it, and we'll do our best to answer them out loud.
Make them pay up for raw houses.
Right.
So chat, I'll keep. Okay, cool. All right, so I think I need to record it.
All right, so while she's doing that, this is, like you mentioned, we put it on the back-end website. Ultimately, the online courses is going to be a really awesome tool for you guys to consider to do your continuing education. We're going to continue to add different content and even just a meeting between everyone in this room, but I'm supposed to meet with someone this weekend. We're going to keep meeting with other people who want to get and bring content about protection and all those other things that you need to continue to grow your business. So that's going to be on the back end, right? And so just kind of look at it as you may not be ready for it now because you're in the hands-on and you have access, but the videos are very helpful, and we're going to have all that stuff in the background, right? We'll give temporary access to this, especially for the people that are in this room, but ultimately, that's what this is for, right? We're recording it for that. So some copious notes. You're in the room, feel free. You can video as well. But this particular thing, don't say, hey, can you send it to me? I'm not going. Okay. What else? The other thing, we're going to keep it, and I guess I should I'll sit here and start talking, right? So they can hear this part of it. All right, guys, it's Jasmine. Hi. This is me waving. You don't see me when I'm waving. Okay, so what we're going to do here, we're going to keep this very, very light, okay? This could be something that I could sit here and I don't even know why I would do it. The only thing that comes to my mind is just to impress you. I can write all these equations, right, with, exponents and stuff like that. We're not going to do that, okay? I want to break it down, and when you're done, can I grab my phone, Lisa? I have some notes on there I want to look at. But I want to keep it simple so that everyone can get it. That's why it's called basic. right? As far as just how you can walk away from this meeting and know how to impress someone and close a deal. Is that fair, everyone?
Yeah.
If you're looking to, I'm gonna go there. If you're looking to impress someone for a date and all that other stuff, that's not what this is. We can maybe do a part 2 where I take you out the Texas Instrument, okay? And we go through all that stuff and talk net present value. We'll go through some definitions. But ultimately, I just want to show you what it takes to get a deal sold. And I mean that I'm really going to show you what I use every day in my office. Okay? All right. So we'll break down some basic stuff and we'll get started now. See if I can confirm that everyone can hear me on there. I guess we won't be able to see. Okay. All right, perfect. All right, so welcome to the Intro to Performing Notes Assistance Program. And today we are going to, how do I switch the, there you go. Set some expectations on what this video is supposed to accomplish with you guys. So we want to identify the differences between performing notes versus non-performing notes. We want to understand the benefits and calculate the risk of these said performing notes. We're going to find money that's attracted to the performing notes, show you how to calculate the IRR and ROI. I'm going to show you one easy tool that you can, use to get those calculations done with a quickness. And then for those of you guys in the room, we'll actually do some calculations. All right? All right. Good stuff. All right. So just for aesthetic purposes, this is what in our mind we have when we say performing versus non-performing. But is it always the case? Okay, the house on the left could be equally as performing as the house on the right. God is my witness, right? And we've actually purchased notes in Texas. One comes to mind where it was abandoned and we thought it was boarded up, and all of a sudden we started getting payments for it, to the tune of $500 a month. Why? Because apparently someone's niece or nephew wants to keep the house in the family, so they just started sending in payments. So we've got a performing boarded up house. So that's kind of one of the luxuries about buying performing notes, right? Is that you may or may not still be able to make money off this thing regardless of the condition of the asset. Okay? So that's very attractive to a lot of people and it's often overlooked as well. Let's talk about some of the benefits and the risk of these said assets. And really, in a nutshell, this is it laid out, right? The benefits, the reason people are attracted to performing notes is that it's the only form, as far as I'm concerned, of truly passive income that I found, okay? No tenants, no toilets, no trash. You see down there about 3 or 4 bullet points later. I like to call it the set and forget it model, right? Now, the whole part of setting it, that's probably the most arduous part of the performing note process, because you really have to do, and it's not like this is what you don't have to do for non-performing, but you really need to do your due diligence on the front end for this performing because you want to set it and forget it. Your expectations for non-performing notes are to set it and work it. So if you want to forget it, you really need to make sure of some things that we're going to discuss later, right? But things that you really could care less about as a non-performing note. Okay? And it's really because you really want to, again, highlighting the forget it part. Okay? And that's really what's going to separate the A paper versus the B and C paper as we talk a little later. They're low maintenance. Okay? So this is, again, reiterating the forget it part of it. But realistically, again, it's about just getting your payments in, right? And at the worst case scenario, you picking up the phone if you're in a program and saying, hey, Natasha Jasmine, what should I do? I'm going on vacation next week. I need to know. Can you send me an email, right? I need to get, what should I do? And so low maintenance compared to those of you who have been landlords, right? For those of you who have actually been, actually if you just for home ownership, you own a home, right? You're really more vested into it. So expenses, that's something that's usually less, right? So when we talk about the calculations that we use and everyone uses are assuming that it's the forget it part. You got it and they paid you to the end, okay? That's going to be part of the reasons why this presentation is going to be really simple, okay? But less expenses in general, again, because property managers, they cost 10%, right? You're going to get a flat fee, usually with performing notes, okay? We all know that's better when it comes to your bottom line and your numbers, right? Also, when it comes to what's below it, the tenants, the toilets, and trash, you should really only be expensing, right? Your servicer, And then every now and what you're going to be doing is looking over, as we'll talk about later, is looking to see about the taxes, right? You have to, force place insurance or taxes. Most part, this should be an income investment, literally incoming. All right. It's really, again, when we talk about calculations, you're going to have one lump sum that you're outlaying. And that's, again, going to go back into calculation of why there's a difference between two of the calculations we're going to use. Leverage. The other thing about these performing notes. So when you're talking about the type of buyers these attract, the leverage is huge because a lot of buyers love leverage, right? And so when you're talking cash flow, leverage is huge. I was just listening to an NPR the other day about a guy who is the largest franchise owner in America. And I don't know, it's to the tune of 100 or 200 franchise he owns. But the only thing I heard, because I was like, that's a lot of work, right? The only thing I heard was that he brings in over 800 a month or something ridiculous of cash flow. And so what hit me is that every month he's liquid enough to buy notes and get free of all those employees and all that stuff, right? But it's the cash flow that's really getting him where he needs to be. So with that, in the story, he used that cash flow to use leverage. So when you're getting performing notes, a lot of people stockpile leverage notes or wake up and realize they've stockpiled leverage notes and they have income that they can leverage, right? These are also notes that are easy to be hypothecated at banks. That's something we won't get into today, but look that up, hypothecation, right? Another form of leveraging these notes. So the more sophisticated investor likes this stuff. The LTV is also something that helps you guys out when it comes to, again, with your leverage and your risk, right? So the last two benefits I want to talk about are tax sheltered accounts, right? So some of these things we're going to talk about, and realistically for you guys who are involved with the non-performing note world, the returns here are not going to be awe-shocking, okay? But it's going to be hard to shock you guys from now on. And so you have to keep that in mind. And so you don't want to put those expectations on other people because they don't have the talent or the access to the resources you have, right? So there's a reason why they are or not getting more or less than you, okay? And so understand that the tax shelter, the performing notes, you're going to get maybe a lower rate than a reperforming note, of course. There's less work, right? You're buying it to set and forget it. But they do fit in tax sheltered accounts, which can boost your return a good 3 to 5%, enough to definitely take care of inflation, right? Enough to definitely take care of other things other than taxes that you're worried about. So do keep that in mind. And taxes are a real strategy for very wealthy people. Okay, just because it's not your strategy, some people wake up in the morning, all they need to know is how can I save on taxes? They don't need to make another dime. I'm not kidding you, right? So if you don't need to make another dime, and this was one of my problems on Wall Street, I used to sit in front of people for years who made so much money, and I was like, I'm going to make you this much money. No matter how big the number was, didn't get their attention. And then I started talking, I'm going to save, you're not going to be able to pay Uncle Sam this amount of money. All of a sudden the hat came off, they bought me on the yacht, started hanging out with their family. So when I talk to you about different types of money out there, you need to know what it is to get their attention, and then you start seeing, they'll be happy with 8% as long as the risk is there, right? And so that's where you will need to speak to that. Resale value, that's huge. Again, because a lot of guys have not understood why these banks sell these. But as you're sitting in the seat, you will start to understand that you can hold it. You will do your math, right? We're not getting to that today, but the equation I'm showing you can help you do your math so much so that you can figure out if you collect mortgage for X amount of years and then sold it for this amount, how much you will profit from. So they've done all that math and they figured if I keep it for 6 months and sell it for 90% or 85%, I'm going to make this return. Okay, so these are things that you will do eventually, right? But you don't have to get that sophisticated to sell notes and make notes money off of performing notes, okay? All right, risk, even though it's not as long, they're real risk, right? So keep that in mind. This just goes as far as you want to, make sure they're not actually in default, but they can actually stop making payments. Deferred maintenance on the house, believe it or not, that's something you want to be worried about. It's really an indication more of their financial security of what's going on in the household. Not so much that you ever think you're going to get the house, but it's an indication maybe someone lost their job, right? Someone fell off the roof, can't fix things, can't go out mowing the lawn. So deferred maintenance you want to look at because you need to know in advance as much as possible as a performing note when you may need to start sending letters, right? When it may start, your payments start dripping in. Insurance, you want to pay attention to those, and taxes, which we talked about. So as far as I'm concerned, your job is to pay someone or for yourself every 6 months to wake up and check to see if taxes and insurance are current. All right? Awesome. All right, so performing notes. Here's really what the due diligence consists of for these, okay? And these lists are quite shorter, but it doesn't overlook the basic stuff. You still want to know about the neighborhood. You still want to know about the crime, okay? Does that make sense, everyone? You still want to know about that. But more importantly, this is the stuff that you need to do on the front end before you buy a performing note, hands down, period, amen. You miss some of this on a non-performing note, who cares about the pay history? Right? Who cares about the borrower's credit? A lot of the stuff you don't need to pay attention to. These are really the 4 things. If I'm in a rush, I want to buy a note, put an offer, these are the 4 things I look at for non-performing. And for those of you who, you know, are part of the online program, all the stuff that we trained you beforehand, that still exists, right? So this is just a short list of things that you need to do. But do not think crime doesn't matter. It still does. All right. So the performing notes, it's really, really important about the borrower, right? So I'm going to dig into that a little bit here. See how we're doing on time. Yeah, because I really think these are really some important parts to stick home to, okay? So when it comes to the borrower with performing notes, you do want to know whether the borrower's pay history is good, whether they have good credit, right? And so pulling their credit is something that, whether you know it or not, you can ask the current lender to get you a current credit report. Some lenders will do it, especially if you're buying more than one, like in pools, because they're really the only ones that have the permission to get it from the borrower, right? You're not really allowed to go and pull borrower's credit without getting their permission. Understood? So unless you have it, the person who does have that permission is the current lender.
So
Yes.
would that be me, or once I buy the note, that's me, right?
Once you buy the note, that's you, but
Before then,
right.
and then once I do it, I can ask the servicer to do that?
Right, exactly. That's what I would prefer you to do, is use the servicer to do that.
For sure.
Do you have something you want to add? Okay. So the borrower is very much important here. A lot of times you'll hear me looking at the borrower and telling people, like on the slide in person, that this borrower is from this background, right? Because really your odds is to gamble on what's the percentage of this person paying. And as little as that has to do with the price of tea in China, there are communities that are better at paying. And maybe, like we talked about general contractors, that community, right? There are better ways to get payments from them and to them. So knowing that, you may now know that you're probably going to get ACH payments, or you're going to get, you know, cashier's checks. A lot of that's insignificant to you because it's going to go to the servicer. But if you choose not to listen and do self-servicing, okay, then you need to know that you might be waiting for something in the mail, and you're going to have to register it, okay? All right. So borrower, what other things, if you guys, since you're current and will keep you guys awake, would you want to know about the borrower that you can think of that might make a difference? Credit history, how they pay, right? Employment histories, you may or may not be able to get, right? But a lot of you guys, if you can get their names and information, you can go Google and do that LinkedIn stuff. So these are things that you're going to do on the side. And taxes. Are they paying their taxes and insurance? Because again, that's health to the borrower itself, right? And their responsibility. So we talked about the pay history. That's obvious. That's one of the most things about a performing note. And so when you look at the pay history, basically, if you're not getting 12 payments a month, then it's not performing. That's the old school way. Hey, if you're getting 11 payments a year and they're making up for it at the end of January, it's quasi, semi, whatever they're making up now, it's just not performing. So back in the day, it was black and white. 12 payments, performing, otherwise price goes down, it's not performing. Or semi, whatever. They didn't have these mediums where they were going to charge you halfway in between. You either pay non-performing or you pay performing. So know nowadays that a lot of sellers, depending on who you're dealing with, may or may not say, well, this is a semi-performing. And some may not care. They say, yeah, you're right. And so what did I just teach you right there? Opportunity for arbitrage, right? If you know who your seller is. If you know that the seller is old school, right? So, right, how do you know that? Those are tricks of trade. But at the end of the day, if you know that your seller is old school, then you're going to be able to get them a much lower and just say it's not performing. I just found, look at this month. 6 years, and I don't know. Right. If you know your seller is one of these more sophisticated guys who's out at Paper Source and hanging out with everyone and learning everything, then know that if you really want to know it, there's going to be counted with some quasi semi-performing price, right? But it's really, everything's environmentally based, and I say that because it's based on the environment you're in, meaning who what type of respect you're getting from the sellers, whether, you know, what type of relationship you have with everyone. Condition of the asset, we talked to that a little bit. So again, when you are looking at the condition of an asset, it doesn't really matter what age it is. It doesn't really matter if it's new construction, old construction. It's a house, guys. It's really about deferred maintenance. Does it look like the people in the house want to live there? Because what looks like deferred maintenance in North Carolina may not look the same as what's in California. You're like, oh, these people don't like their house. That's what I thought when I moved to Indiana, right? People had like beer bottles, I'm not kidding, like just, I guess, displayed on their lawn. Here I am trying to recycle. I'm like, somebody help them clean up. Okay? And it's detracting from the value, but it's actually what they do. Exactly. So, you know, condition of assets are going to be this. You just want to see if there's some form of pride of ownership, right? And if once you get used to that person, seeing how it declines. So one of the cool things is Google Maps. You guys notice in the top hand corner, it gives you a timeline.
Yeah.
Oh God, I use it all the time, especially if I'm buying notes from like B or C paper performing. Because you can just basically do a timeline and see the condition of that house over the years. So you kind of can get an idea of what this guy usually does. So there's one bar in a small town called Alexandria. And I bought the note because the timeline, there's not one piece of day like where he didn't have the mow lawn and everything is so nice and all his little fixtures that they have out there all nice. I was like, oh, this guy wants to stay, right? So just do what you can and just get creative, right? That's how you make your money. And that's how you can really make sure that you have better odds of getting a note that's going to keep performing, all right? Credit, we talked about that. It's something that you want to consider, but really it's based on the type of paper you have, because if they're paying all 12 months and their credit's bad, but they've done that for the last 10, 12 years, it was not 780, you know, the point is that they pay their payment, and that's to you. That's what's important to them. Utilities, current, that's a big thing. So sometimes like you said, they will tell you. Sometimes they won't. So depending on how comfortable you feel making that call. LTV is important, right? So 70% is really the highest I want to go. Obviously, anything lower than that is beautiful. Insurance, current, we talked about that. Seasoning, sometimes that's important, sometimes it isn't, right? I find that it's just really about the buyer, again, your circle. A lot of us are taught the seasoning is important. I find it important, especially the lower the grade of paper I buy. But I would honestly say if it's a brand, depending on who's underwriting it also, if it's a traditional bank out of a state that has, you know, appreciation, like my Texas assets, you know, those I'll pretty much buy as soon as they're done because the property's always going up, you know. Anyway, for other nuances, but those are things you want to pay attention to, whether or not it's going to be seasoning. So if I'm buying something from some of these guys like, you know, Vision and these guys who, you know, their contract, they only have $500 down, I want some seasoning. But a lot of these, you know, traditional banks asking for 10, 20% down, and you seeing these guys put $15,000 down, you're going to try to make a payment. No one drops $15,000 and then walks away. You know, that's not really what the thing. All right, so down payment's important. Go into that. Origination, who the seller is, that's important. That's more important than you know, than the paper itself, believe it or not. Title recorded, and the discount. Those are things that are important, right? You want to, for sure, before you buy a note, especially if you're not part of this program, meaning you don't know about the relationship and you don't know if you're ever going to talk to that seller again, you want to make sure that that title is recorded before you set it and forget it. And then 10 years from now, they stop paying, and now you need to find out all the people in the chain of assignments. And everyone somebody's dead, the other person, you know, whatever. Right? So especially more important than performing notes, because that's how you get caught with your pants down. You're just sitting there getting payments, and then all of a sudden, 8 years from now, no one's around. Okay? So I can't stress that more. On the non-performing side, it's still a hiccup, and it's one of the best practices to get it done, but it's a best practice versus, you know. And usually on the non-performing side, you're going to get caught with that when you try to sell it. That's why. At the end, when you try to sell it, it's going to come up red flag, and you're going to have to deal with it anyway. All right? With the performing note, you're not really going to be selling the house, and so you don't realize it until later. And then obviously the discount is important because that's going to affect your return, right? Your yield. Okay? And so that's simple math and more of what we're going to get into later. All right, who buys performing notes? Okay? Basically, this is in a nutshell, right? Self-employed people, self-directed IRA holders, doctors, supplemental income, accredited investors, parents put them in the ESA accounts, educational savings accounts, athletes, right? If they don't, they need to be. The ones that, you know, haven't been hit too hard, or ran into the right people, they're buying them. If they're not, you should tell them to. small funds, private placements, that's what PPMs, right? And insurance companies. I mean, there's tons and tons more. This is just an idea to get you guys your head thinking, okay? All right, the gentleman in the corner, I put him there because he's one of my favorite clients and owns a multinational company. So these are the guys, these big guys, you know, bringing in over $500,000 a month, but they really would love to not have to work for that $500,000 a month. They too don't want to wake up in the morning, okay? And so he's flying all over the country and he decided to get married and stuff. So he's very interested in figuring out how he can slowly accumulate, and he's got a lot of liquidity, right? So just know that I'm going to tell you something personal. A lot of my friends I grew up with, right? Don't come hang out with me anymore. Oh, they're always talking shit, they mess about me, right? They'll never hang out. Come on, where you going? Applebee's, McDonald's. I'm like, listen. Stop calling me unless the place charges $15, $20 French fries. Does anyone understand why? I'm trying to meet people. Takes the same amount of time to sit down and meet someone at Applebee's and it does meet someone, God bless, at $20 fireplace. Meanwhile, that person might just be on a layover for his $500,000 a month job. You understand? And this is really, you're not going to find these people where you currently fish because they're moving. This is why sometimes if I look at my account and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need more money, my mind says, get up and move. Go somewhere. Get up and do something. Find out where the rich people are and kick it. Really, go to the beach. Oh, no. Okay. So just get creative, right? And just, this is important because if you know where to find the money, then the rest starts to make sense, okay? All right, this is an example of collateral for what I would consider a paper, okay? And so we're gonna do a simple calculation off of some of these, but this is really what's going on. This is live inventory right now, right? And so, listen, everyone's gonna grow at their own pace. Here's what I can tell you. Some of you guys are gonna see this and you're gonna go, oh my God, that's a lot of money, I'm not ready yet. Some of you are gonna see this and go, that's a nice return. I'm not ready, but someone I know might be. Some of you are gonna say, that's a nice return, but they're spreading that. I can make some money off this and sell to somebody, okay? And so listen to me very carefully. The opportunity is abound in just what I'm showing you right here, okay? And I know I'm saying this because I almost feel bad because this is what I look at, what goes in my mind when I look at it, and some of you guys aren't there unless I tell you. And I realize that because she's laughing. Is this the truth? You want us to say something? No. Okay, all right. And I realize this because I work with a lot of you guys, all of you guys on a regular basis, and you guys each call me with different conversations. And lately, some of you guys are calling me with like, I'm ready to talk about broker. I was like, you just signed up. Meanwhile, some of you are probably a good 2 years from the brokering conversation, and I'll still be here. Some have called me on the island, but I'll still be here to talk to you about that, right? So in this particular asset, first thing I want to do, before you start talking about your calculators and everything, okay? What do you see? What stands out to people? Anybody? Oh, do I? Oh. Dang it. I thought what stands out is that you're keeping the number small so we don't get a chance. Oh man. All right, I thought it was big enough. So for those of you at home, maybe you can wind the screen and I'll just read out to you. So at the end of the day, the first one is in Houston. They're both in Houston, Texas. So that should stand out to you. Texas is always attractive. And I say that because people think Texas is in America, unlike the rest of the things in between New York and California. They were like, where's that? Right? Texas somehow is considered, at least parts of it is considered America. So they're like, oh, I don't mind investing there. That makes sense. I've been there before. I laid over there before. I have family there. Okay? So this is where you start comfort zones when you talk to people. And just returns. It's a place where assets appreciate and values pretty much stay steady, which obviously translates to the LTV, et cetera, your risk. Second thing that you want to notice is the rate. It's 9.5%. So the question is, a lot of people might say, why is it 9.5%? Who's going to pay that 5% in this day and age? Especially if you notice they have a 780 credit score. Okay? So that is a good question. But it happens. And some of you may or may not be able to think of what community is subject to that type of pricing. But there are communities that pay those type of pricing, right? And so what you're looking at is either this person is going to pay that or they're going to refi. Either way, that's good for you, right? So you got a 9.5% rate. So what I want you to understand is that at par, this is written at 9.5. So if you paid par for this, you should be getting what? Without doing any math. Your return should be That's just simple math. Just boom, boom, boom. Now, we can get into more, but that's just what it should pan out to me. Okay? So eyeballing it, you should be like, shut the front door, 9.5. Right? This is when people say, I don't mind paying par because we just need to get a 9.5. Anything below does what to your return? Someone. Increases. Anytime you pay less than par, the coupon rate is going to go up. This is why a lot of you come to me and say, well, what's the rate on the note? Especially the non-performing notes. This is when I put you on mute. They come back and say, okay, hello? Yes. So we don't talk about the coupon rate because this is insignificant to you. What's significant to you is what you lay down, what you put down. And keep that in mind because I'm going to talk to you about that when we're doing the calculations, okay? Who cares about what happened the first day when everyone originated, on the first date when the two met, decided they wanted to get in bed and make note babies? Nobody cares because all those promises are out the window. You know it. Now the promises are about what you are bringing to the table. And so if you're putting in half, it's going to jump up. If you're paying over, it's going to go up. So the point is that the insurance companies are paying 101 for this. So that's par. Why? There it is. So some of you might know some people who want 5. Some of you people might know people who want this. Okay, so that's why I need to understand, A, this paper is not going to sit around waiting for you to decide your non-performing note stuff that we taught you. It's a whole other game. That's why at first I separated it. I wouldn't even talk to non-performing note people about performing notes because it'll never work. It's like, you told me to be a stickler about my pricing. Yeah, but it's because you're buying something dilapidated, right? So in this, it's something different. And ultimately, when you look at this, you have to have a different mindset, right? And so your risk and confidence should come based on who the seller and who's selling the paper, okay? The paper is a paper. And so this is a 9%. Anything you pay below that, your rate's going to increase. And so at a 95% rate, you're going to see that this goes up to a little over 10% IRR and 13% ROI, right? Which is simple interest rate. So those are attractive rates, yes or no?
Yes.
You got attractive state, got attractive rates, right? Got attractive, right? It's a 15-year loan, right? And so this is really what people are out there looking to buy. Of that other, the people I told you, the $20 French fry people, okay? That's what they're looking to buy. And so when you look at the collateral file, it's going to be a lot of different stuff in there. There's going to be credit reports. There may or may not be one for your contract for deed where they had to put $100 down. Just telling you. 1003. Sometimes ATR, that's new now, ability to repay. So if it's not there, don't not buy the deal. Everyone underwrites differently, but it's going to be much more traditional stuff like you see at a regular bank, but that's who you should be getting these from. We're getting our traditional banks. So just like when you went in the same stuff. There's going to be a lot more stuff in here than you find in the regular, maybe sub-performing note or B paper or C paper. Does that make sense? It's all based on who you're buying it from. All right. So we just figured out about this paper is that A, it's available. B, this is an opportunity at 95 for you to find someone. So we have some people out there in San Francisco who are saying, I have someone who will pay par for this. When you sell it to me for 95, when can I come to the office and figure out how to do this spread? I'll show you. Okay? There are people who are saying, I have an IRA right now, 400,000 in it, and yes, please, at 95. So I can broken it out. I'm selling this only. Because the truth in lending suggests, and I'm going to collect well over 300,000 if this is done, right? And we'll get those numbers in a second. So, in a nutshell, this is really the creme de la creme of what people are buying, sight unseen and paying par for. And insurance companies are just buying by the thousands every time they get money from us. They buy it, and anything's not performing, I come back and buy it. That's the beautiful part about your life, okay? All right, let's look at example B. This is some B and C pages, okay? These are performing notes from the regular tape that you guys have. So everyone's access to these. So these, you're going to find, again, rates 9, 10%, okay? Guys, let's be honest. We're all banks, so we're going to charge as much as we can. The other question is, how come all these are at 9%? Because it's the law. If it could be at 12, it'd be at 12, okay? And so one of the things you have to remember when you're originating stuff is check with your local attorney to make sure you're not violating any usury laws. At the end of the day, guys, even if they cap you at 6% because of the principal, you can backdoor it to figure out how you're going to make the money you need. Just tell them they got to pay more money, okay? But make sure that you don't get caught with a loan that is going to be null and voided because you broke usury laws. So you notice 9.99, 9.5. These are the games that banks are going to play, right? And again, these are all, no, that's something I was going to say, but not true. But these are all contract for deeds, right? So you're noticing, right? So contract deed underwriting is a lot less strenuous. You're going to find the down payments are going to be a lot less. The rates or the duration length time is going to be a lot more, usually 20, 30 years. Okay, it's not like standard, but this is just what I've noticed after doing thousands and thousands of loans. And you can see these UPBs, right? You're looking at UPB 44,000. The last two, one was 94,000, the other one's close to 100. Here you're looking at a UPB of 44,000. We got one at 1,500. Okay, ask me about that later. But these are the smaller UPBs because you're everywhere again in between California and New York. Okay, and so here you're really gonna want to pay attention to a couple things, but understand that it's really about the assignments and the documents that transfer ownership. Every file is going to be underwritten differently, and just because this file doesn't have lead paint or TILA doesn't mean it's less valid. Okay, it just means that you may have less information on it. But if it's not performing, no big deal. And performing for the most part, it's just really part of your due diligence on the front end, whether you believe it or not. And again, the people on this paper, they don't really do that much due diligence. A lot of these guys never met one person when they bought these homes. You read it in the newspaper. Okay, and so without a human contact, a lot of that part of ownership or whatever responsibility is lost. Whereas the other paper, they sat down, they had to go in escrow, they had to get dressed, make sure that, everyone, the whole thing is going into it. So they're going, it's just psychological. So that alone is really one of the major things that I differentiate with the paper. Why I only pay so much for B or C paper is because some of these guys, they literally have no skin in the game. All right? All right, so I think that's what I want to cover for that. All right, so let's get into some numbers, all right? Yippee, we're almost done here. Terms and things like that. When we talk about net present value and just basically the verbiage and vernacular that you're going to need here, you don't really need to go that hard in the paint, guys, okay? Basic stuff, net present value. I even put the definition up here, okay? You'll meet a lot of people like myself. We have statistics degrees, economics degrees. We want to talk about CAGR. It just means compounded annual growth rate, okay? IRR, internal rate of return, ROI, return on investment, and simple interest if you want it, SI, right? But just understand a couple things. I'm going to make it really simple for you guys, okay? CAGR and IRR are the exact same things. Period, amen. So don't let anyone sit in front of you and say, well, I want to figure out based on the CAGR, not the IRR. Listen. Stop it. It's all the same number, especially when we're here right now calculating and we are assuming that the payments are going to come in, okay? If we assume they're going to make consistent payments for the next 15 years, the number is going to be the same. They differ based upon the other numbers that you use depending on each equation. So if you, in the compounded annual growth rate, decide you're going to include that you're going to sell it in 5 years, you're going to get a different return. And by the way, that's the equation you use if you want to do the selling it in 5 years. That makes room for lump sums. If you just want to get, if you want to figure out your internal rate of return, the internal just means hidden, okay? So not that that's a fancy word, but it makes you feel like, oh my God, internal. It just means hidden. So that's why compound and internal rate are basically the same calculations. They literally use the same numbers, especially if you're assuming the same timeline and the same amount of payments, okay? And same amount of payments and same payment amounts, excuse me. So don't get caught up too much on that. At the end of the day, you want to stick to the point with the person. Internal rate of return is going to be this. So the return on your investment and the simple interest are basically the same numbers as well. Okay, so really, I just taught you guys how to take 4 sophisticated terms and turn them into 2. You're welcome. Like stop, okay? Without having to go to a master's class, okay? And so with that said, simple interest and ROI just simply tells you how fast the speed of your return of your money. This is when I talk to people about velocity of money. A lot of people think that means, I don't know what you guys think it means. This is how much money I'm gonna make. No, it means how fast you're going to get your money back. It's the speed of your money, expressed as a term of a percentage, okay? Now, This is why a lot of people want to, especially investors, want to calculate the IR, because it's going to talk about your hidden cost, okay? And hidden cost meaning not so simple, but how long they're going to make, how many payments they're going to do, how many years, okay? All those things that you know. So when you sit down in front of someone and do your simple rate of return, this is what we basically do. We're going to take how many monthly payments. That's what I sat here and did with this gentleman. He's going to do $300 a month over 250 times 12, and it'll be 3,000 divided by how much he put in there, right? 33% return. Voila. I'm going to stop right now and slap everyone with some common sense. We just said 33% return. So we will and can go to the internal rate of return, but I really don't like doing that too much, because at 33%, even if I'm 50% wrong with my numbers, you didn't get a better deal. And I'm not 50% wrong with my numbers. I don't care what happens, right? This is, especially if you're in the Midwest, you know, the whole world can come to an end and we're still going to make money because it's the Midwest. And so when you talk about your simple rate, the reason I start there is because usually if I look at simple rate, I can tell, again, you're going to start noticing standard deviations. I look at 9%, or, you know, if I do a simple rate of return is 13%, I know I'm going to knock it down 5 to 9, 10%, not, you know, not going to go any lower than that, right? Standard deviation 3 to 5 percentage point. It's just that way, okay? To the point where you don't need to be arguing to someone about the difference, okay? And so let's talk about the tools that I use to get these. So I just told you the basic simple one, just a basic calculator you need, okay? But what I have downloaded, and I'd like you guys to download today, if you don't already, is this tool right here called Carl's Mortgage Calculator. Do any of you guys have this downloaded already? Okay. So this is free. They have a pro version for $1.99. I'm saving you $1.99 right now. Okay, get the free version. Always trying to get the cost. Or get the pro one, whatever. But the point is that this is what I use every day. And I am very qualified to use a Texas Instrument, okay? But I refuse to, because one, I work with everyday people, and I found it makes them feel intimidated. So you need to keep that in mind if you're trying to get money from people. Not everyone has your background. Someone may have a lot of money and just be a simple, what should I say, doctor. There's nothing simple about that, but a simple CPA, again, nothing simple about simple teacher. Teach 3rd grade, whatever they do, right? This may not be there every day. So breaking it down in Crown is best. If someone's more sophisticated, then you just wink to them and say, you get what I'm saying. This is about time right now, okay? You got to take me to a nicer restaurant if you want to sit here and just go over numbers all day, spreadsheets, okay? So download this if you have not already. For you guys back there, it shouldn't take too long, because I want you to start going through just 1 or 2 things, because a lot of you guys know how to use this on a basic level, but I want to show you how to close deals with it. Fair? Yeah. All right, especially performing notes. So this particular image on the right is actually the calculations of that first performing note, which I will go back to real quickly. In Houston, Texas on J Street. So 7037 J Street, Houston, Texas. Current property value, they say, is about $95,000. Originally financed was $79,900. And so there has unequivocally been some payments since this has been originated, even though it's only been 2 or 3 months. So know that the unpaid balance is going to drop. That's the coolest thing about these things too. It might take you 30 days to buy the note, but what you thought you were paying is going to be reduced by a payment, because it's all going to be applied. It all comes calculated at the beginning, okay? But going back to this one on J Street, right? It was 79. That's really what this is right here, okay? So on your most basic calculator, right? Not to make you dizzy, I need to go back here and find out what this is. On J Street, for those of you who can't see, the payment was $834.34, okay? So if you take your $834, right, and we multiply it by 12, what are we getting? And don't forget your cents, though, 34 cents. You're a banker, we want those cents. So you multiply that by 12, you get 10,000, right? 12 and 8 cents. All right, so I'm getting that number. Now, what you want to divide this by is what you're paying, which would be 95 cents of that unpaid balance as of now. Okay? So someone give me what 95% of 79.9 is. $79,900. 95% of that is
75.
Thank you. Sorry to hear you. 75,905. And how many pennies? I like 1 penny.
59.05 or is it?
75,900.
All right, no worries, that's fine. So when you divide that, you get a 13% return, 13.19% return, 13.19. Okay? So that's just simple interest rate of 13%. If you put down this amount of money every year, you're going to get this amount back. Okay? On the annualized rate. When you go to this calculator here, so that's simple. We deal with that simple interest rate, or you want to call your ROI. Okay? How fancy are you feeling today? Simple interest rate or ROI? Okay? That's the only thing. Next is you're sitting in front of someone, I don't know, who's got a lot of money or is really specific about their rate. And they're like, oh, I like that, but it says 9%, and I need at least a 10. Okay, literally, this is a conversation you're having. And it can happen, and respect that. So now you say, okay, here's what I have for you. And we just decided, and that's what I have there, 75,902. So let's see where we're going to put these numbers in this Carl's calculator, first and foremost, okay? So with Carl's calculator, the good thing about it is that you can solve for certain numbers. Understood? All right, let me find mine. And so in this particular instance, I made sure that my dot was solving for the interest rate. So when you go to the input, you're going to make sure that it's highlighting the solve for that. And by doing that, it'll put a little dot next to it. Right. Next, what you're going to do is, this asks for property value, okay? So you just have to be smarter than the calculator, okay? Property value is the equivalent in this case of the value of our investment. So don't put in your property value. That's not what you're asking. How much are you investing? What's the value of your investment? We just decided that we had to pay what to make this 95%? Yep, 75,902. Okay. So I put that right there under the property value. Do you understand? Because that's the value of our investment. So instead of property, I just said ignore its investment value. Okay. Then $0 down payment, because A, there's no down payment. I'm paying all in full. Okay. Next, you're going to put in the 15 years and you're going to put in the payment they're paying you. And from there, it should solve for your interest rate. Yes or no? Yeah! And that is your IRR. I'm not kidding. You guys can sit down and do this the hard way, and you're going to get 10.33888. I did it just to make sure no one's going to be a smart aleck with me, okay? So you can sit next to someone and say, it's going to be above a 10% return. And that what you want to start doing is getting people to generalize with you, because you have that luxury. Don't start sitting down with someone. I said 10.4. Well, it's 10.3. No, look, it's above 10%. That's all I can tell you. It's about 10%. I'm talking about because. Okay. So follow me with that. So is that helpful with everyone? Okay. We want to do a more sophisticated part 2 of this, where I can start, drawing out the equation on how to calculate the numbers behind it. That's fine. You can also go online and do that as well and find that. But this is a simple calculator where you go and you put in a few things, and you can sit down at a meeting with someone and say, hey, I have these notes. Let's do this together. And always try to do the math in front of them. Okay? I mean, do it in advance, obviously. But when you go down and say, let's do it together. Pull out your calculator, or what do you see? And if they say, oh, I don't want to, I'll follow you, then let them follow you. But, make it seem like an experience that we're all going to together. Oh, look at that. I know it's above 10 somewhere. And they start thinking you're doing it in their head. Meanwhile, you're not. All right. So, any questions real quick? Who like that? Show of hands. That can be helpful? Okay. So I'm giving you money, like this is money right now. I just showed you, okay? All right. So talk about pricing. I'm going to wrap this up because really that's what we came here for, if that's what you guys felt like you needed. When it comes to pricing, obviously A paper is going to be priced a lot higher than B or C. I don't want to really give you much guidance. Pricing guidance is going to be per seller. But I can tell you, like I just did, if you're looking for that A paper and playing that A game and steal paper from an insurance company, you need to know that you probably won't get less than 95%. And I'm giving that 95% because I'm asking them to do, I'm like, we don't want to play par. But I probably would, and some of our investors probably would. And if they're not going to budge it, I'll say to you, hey, if you can't pay par, someone else would, or walk away. But really getting it lower than 95, why would they? And plus, you have to understand what they're doing, right? These guys are originating these loans and need their money back. They can go back and do more.
What's the difference?
So we went over that a little earlier. It's just going to really be about the underwriting, right? So about who, how much information they're collecting, how much down payment they're going to have, who the seller is, right? Yes. More typically going to be mortgage, 100%. Typically going to be mortgage. As a matter of fact, a lot of people who buy a paper won't buy contract for deed. So if it's a contract for deed, you're going to have to go and convert it to a mortgage, which I'm going through right now. So, so for those of you who, and that's just more insurance companies and bigger companies, they have protocols they have to meet, right? They have securitization. You and I can be more loose with what we do in our company, but oh, you have questions?
Yeah.
Okay, no worries. I'll get you guys' questions here in 1 second. Okay. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so the paper pricing, right? And so the A paper is typically mortgage, 100%. But for those of you who are privy to it, I have a total of about 76 Arkansas notes. And this goes back to who buys these notes, right? Or who holds these notes. There's a private doctor in Arkansas who not only does he probably make about $300,000 from his regular income, but he decided this one of these weird guys with business too. So he got notes. He accumulated over 76 notes on Arkansas in his neighborhood. I think he created them. But now he wants to retire because he's actually in mid-70s, right? And I guess he woke up and think he's not going to live forever. He's like, I just want to sell everything because he thinks he can get around $5 million for everything. He's like, just give me the $5 million. Me and my wife are gone. He's here. He just stays gone, right? His kids are doing well. One of them works with NBC. He's like, my kids are fine. He's just fine. So he just wants his money. He wants to light a match to it. And so this guy wants to sell. He knows he doesn't need to. So he doesn't want to sell for fire sale. He wants to know he knows I'll bring him a respectful deal. But I'm telling him that my people, they're all contract for deeds, want mortgages. So if you want the top dollar for it, for a contract for deed, I'm like, we're not getting anything over this, that, and the other, right? But if you want top dollar for it, which he wants, and he doesn't rush, he's getting a monthly income. I think it's about $40,000 a month he's getting just from his portfolio. Where was I going with this? So he wants to get some max dollar for it, right? And so I said, if you want to do that, then the people are going to pay that. The insurance company said they want mortgage. So you're going to slowly convert these to mortgages. How can I do that? I know. They're like, everybody, $100 gift certificate to Walmart. Tell them to come in one at a time and let's sign paperwork, right? And so he has a really good relationship with these guys, okay, because he's the one that originated them. And so part of my job is to make sure he does all this before he sells them. Because trying to chase him down or going to them like a new guy, I'm your new bank, you want to sell, they're not going to trust, right? And I also happen to know that this is a Hispanic community, so his trust is huge. He's going to go in, he originated, to work with them forever, get everything converted, and then we'll buy it. You guys start thinking creatively what you can do with this paper. If you start not are willing to work with paper that doesn't come to you pretty, make money for making it pretty. Yes?
Are there real risks of these not being able to be converted for whatever reason because they just become requirements? Or is it just that?
No, it's just we're the people who make the requirements. The risk is if they just don't show up. If they just come in and say, I don't want to do any new paperwork. I like my contract for need. I just like what I have. I don't care about $100 gift card. I don't know, whatever. The risk is that they just won't come up and sign it. Otherwise, it's the same thing. We're just saying, hey, we want to cancel this and put you in a new agreement, right? For whatever story you want to make up. You can tell them the truth. They may not understand it. You can just say, I'm going to give you better terms, take $5,000 off the back end.
I didn't know if you were going to look at the difference or if you retroactively go through and they might do what if.
Yeah, I mean, they're still going to go through.
They don't need those.
Well, yeah, but those are your requirements.
Yeah.
So my buyer is going to, but basically it's going to be based on their pay history.
Okay, so really that's what you're drilling down to.
It's just my particular, the one buyer that really has a teeth into it is going to grace down on, is it mortgage paper and have they been paying over 10 or 15 years? If they have, I'm pretty much in. The rest of it, the LTVs are low enough, they don't care. Some of them are 40% LTV. Really, you don't start talking to people about stuff like that. If you understand what I'm saying, 40% LTV, every month that they pay, the LTV goes lower, and you're like, please stop paying me so I can take the house. So you have to know when to shut up at a bank. So, yeah, the risk is if they just won't come in and convert it. But with the community we're working with, it's really going to be pretty simple to get them in, especially as long as we have the trust. But pricing is going to be seller dependent. We talked about that, right? Relationship dependent and volume dependent. So if you're buying one note, you need to be part of the notice assistance program because you're not getting 95%. They're going to ask you for 100, 98, something, right? It's like I'm getting it because I'm going to sell all two of those at the same time, and they're praying that if I sell those, then I can start selling on a regular basis. But they know my volume size, so they're going to send me two at a time. Once I give them, then I'll buy more, and then hopefully, okay. All right, let's see where are these questions. We're getting to you guys back there. Should have flew out for the event, I'm telling you. All right, couple questions. Why does the house on Glassburner have 120 months and a UPB of 1514? I knew someone was going to ask me that, right? So, because it's just money on the table for you. First of all, what I want you to do is go back to that asset. Here, I'll do it for us, okay? You guys mind? Go back to that asset. It's fine, you leave it right there. And the payment on that is $150 a month, okay? What's the simple return on that? Somebody, you guys can start jumping in this so you can start getting comfortable with this. 150 times 12. 18. So it's more than the entire UPB. Okay?
Right.
So really, it's a great question, but the real question is how much do I have to pay to get that note right now? Because, I mean, you want to find out what the house's value of the house is and pay it's over 10 grand. But, you know, even if the land, right, has any value to it. And so typically when you see that, unfortunately, 9 times out of 10 or 7 times out of 10, it's a deceased person. No one really stops making their payments and all they owe is $1,500 unless they drop dead. And so we typically find it. So those of you who actually like to get deceased notes like myself, be like, go in. You can get real low UPB on this. You might get it for $800. I don't know, right? Seriously. I mean, you want to check the fines, right? You want to pay $800 for a note. You have to pay $40,000 in taxes. But this is one of those opportunities where you can have an arbitrage because, again, you can pay, even if you pay full UPB on this thing, which, again, you want to do your math and figure out what the full payoff would be if someone does pay you off. But your risk is that you get a full payoff of $3,000 and you lose what? I mean, this is why we're in the game. It's about your ability to calculate risk. So I don't know the exact answer why it has 120, but that's what I would say. And then what you want to do is extrapolate backwards that if for some reason, what if they're not dead? You can get them back payment. Okay, $1,800 a year, a month times 120. I mean, just if they get back on the regular program, right? So it's 18 grand right there. I mean, these numbers are ridiculous if you're into these internal rates of returns and stuff, right? So this is really why I really started getting excited about this because I was like, ooh, every now and then, depending on what I do, I can just throw something. I have $2,000 to throw in my son's education account. And if I get it performing, I wake up one day, it's 18 grand contributed because I made a few phone calls, right? Or foreclosed on a house one day. Like, I want someone to actually look up this address and find out, tell me what the ARV is. That's my girl. I was like, I need to leave this meeting right now. Excuse me. You guys are wasting my time. I hate being in this meeting talking to people. Tell me what it is. Need an adjourn. What's this house be worth $80,000, $60,000, right? It's like, whatever. All right, so the payments. So hopefully I answered everyone's questions about them to get you thinking about what you can do with those, right? Oh, you want me to move this? I'll give you the address real quick. So it's 13530, and it's in Detroit. So depending on what street, we have boots on the ground in Detroit. So this actually could be one of my things I can redeem myself. My last one. All right, we won't talk about it anymore. Blaston Bury, Bury, in Detroit, 48223. All right. Next question. Hopefully that answered your question. The payment. This is the next one from Tia. Let me make sure Eric. Okay, Eric said cool. All right. All right. Payment is based on the interest rate. Did you just put in what the interest rate is first? No. All right, Tia. So no, we actually made it solve for the interest rate. And so what we can do is during one of your training sessions, just have Natasha walk you through it, but it's solved for the interest rate. We put in everything else but that, okay? All right, and Tasha just got the directive to help you with that, so she will do it. All right, next one. She put in the terms and years. Oh, yep, thank you, Martin. Go, Martin. Martin, now you know I've been talking about you the whole time. I know you were listening. All right, next one. We aren't trying to solve ROI. No, ROI is a simple interest rate. When you use the Carl's calculator, that's going to get you the internal rate of return or the KGAR, right? All right. I don't think calculator will do that. The budget sheet gave us those yields and ROI. Exactly. Budget sheets, yeah, for the most part, the basic budget sheet we do works with those, the simple rate of return. And again, what you'll start to realize is that consistently, when you compare the two, it's 3 to 5% standard deviation one way or the other. So just brace yourself on that, and that's why I look at my numbers. All right, so if that's all the questions, let's see. Does the pricing depend on the remaining terms? I don't think I understand your question, Soren. Does the pricing depend? Oh, yeah. Just call me in with that question because I don't necessarily understand it, and we definitely want to try to get everyone out of here. So if you guys are on the Zoom, what you can do to let me know that you appreciated this is give us some type of rating on Google or LinkedIn or something. Just let us know feedback because I don't really get out here and do this as much. Usually Tasha does this. So, if you want to get me more out here, let me know. But yeah, just let us, that's how we get compensated by letting everybody know how great we are. So thank you very much, and we'll talk to you later. All right, what do you guys think of in here? Helpful?
Good stuff. That's all.
You guys gonna be able to use this when you go out?
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna have to watch it. I don't know if I'm exactly